And everybody's like, white magic, but white magic means this or that, or getting lucky. White magic, I just conjured that up to explain reading abilities. So what I do is based on reading abilities, and that's the special edge that I have over the world.
Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
We're live from Laguna Beach, California at the Ben Reinberg I Own It studio today, and very excited about today's guest. We've been waiting for him to come on. A real icon in what he does, and his accomplishments are just absolutely spectacular. And Phil Hellmuth, welcome to the show. It's so great to see you. And thank you for joining us today. So, Phil, you're the most accomplished poker player of all time. 16 World Series of Poker bracelets. Let's kick things off. Share more about what you love about playing poker, and what do you most enjoy about high stakes competitions, competing with the best players in the world?
Yeah, I mean, and I won one 4 or 5 days ago. I won a US Poker Open. I love the game and I love competing at the highest level. And, it's interesting because 99% of the world says Phil is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But then there's some people within poker that want to take it away from me, right? They're like, oh, well, he didn't do this. He didn't do that. Well, he didn't win a lot in the cash games, while I won 30 out of 31 televised cash games. Okay, check that. Oh, he hasn't done well in the high rollers. Well, I just won a high roller 4 days ago or 5 days ago. Check that. And so, but I think that in my profession, it's easy to watch someone, and say, oh my God, he's missing something. Because I play different than they understand. You understand, Ben? So
yep.
If I think you have nothing, I move in. Like, if I think you have nothing, I might call you. And so what they consider mathematically perfect plays oftentimes look really messed up when I'm playing poker. And yet I just keep winning. And so, I guess here I'm promoting myself, for God's sakes. I'm always fucking promoting myself. But you look at the last 18 months in poker, and I think that I have the best record. And maybe someone will come and say, well, someone else has a better record than you in 18 months. Maybe one person in the world. But I'm right there. And so, it's, I think it's in 60 tournaments. I've had 15 top 10s now in the last, and only the biggest meaningful tournaments. So enough bragging, but I think I get frustrated sometimes. The 1% can get me, defending my record more than I want to.
So, Phil, there's a lot of great lines that come from poker as I watch you through the years. Play the man, not the cards. If you cannot have the sucker, it's you. I imagine you're extremely good at sizing up people and picking up subtle behavior clues, which must be, I would believe, part of your success throughout the years. Without divulging any secrets, share more about how you play the man so well.
Well, I mean, that's something, that's a lost art. I just can't believe it. There seems to be a whole generation that doesn't understand that everything I'm doing is based on my read of my opponents. And I'm just like, and that's why I started calling it white magic. A famous player came up to me and they said, well, why did you do what you did? And I'm like, well, I didn't think he had it. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, I didn't think he had it. Well, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't understand reading ability at all? Really? Because you had millions of players, 100 million players come into poker online. And then the best and the best and the best and the best, they turned out to be all more mathematically minded. And so this was like 2012. And I'm like, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about. To him, it's like black magic. And I said, black magic is just the connotation behind black magic's a little negative. So, we're going to go with white magic. And so I started saying, what I do is white magic. And then that took off in poker. And then everybody's like, white magic, but white magic means this or that, or getting lucky. White magic, I just conjured that up to explain reading abilities. So what I do is based on reading abilities. And, that's the special edge that I have over the world.
Are you reading facial expressions, body, the entire body, because people are sitting down? Like, I assume you must be just guiding that face and seeing those expressions, whether it's the mouth, the eyes, Are they looking down, around? Are they smirking? Are they in disgust? I'm sure you're just an expert at reading body language.
It's not that I look for specific cues, and there's been some very nice books written about that. There's a book, by an FBI agent called Read 'em and Reap, REAP, and I wrote the forward for his book, and it's a really good book, and it talks about physical tells. But for me personally, I just trust what I see, and I'm like, something's going off. There's an alarm in my head. Move in, move in, move in, and I mean that's exactly what happened. I won the tournament. I moved in with a hand that no one else would have moved in with because I just didn't think the opponent could call me. And everybody's like, "Oh, Phil's on today. Phil's on today." But there was a voice deep inside. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. And so that's kind of the voice that I've trusted. So I'm not looking for any specific physical tells, although, like I said, Read 'em and Reap is a great book.
Because I would imagine there's like a baseline for, I'm sure you run into similar players throughout the years and you know what their baseline is. And if they're going above and below the baseline of their normal behavior, I imagine that's part of your tell, saying, I know that guy and something's up because he's not acting the same way he normally does. And I'm sure that's part of it as well. Is that the case in some of your explanations when you're looking for the tell?
That's partial truth. So partially, you play with people, like I was playing with the same people in the high rollers over the last 12 days. And then you can use a baseline. But a lot of times I'm just playing, I'll spend the whole World Series of Poker 6 weeks, most of that time playing with randoms and amateurs, semi-pros, a lot of good people in poker. And then just, having to kind of just trust my instincts when it comes to them, and then maybe there's a percentage of time, like the last 12 days, where I'm actually looking for baselines.
So there's a lot of great competitors that have tremendous desire to win. How have you kept your edge and desire to win in poker? You've been doing this a long time, even after so much success. And does your ultra competitive side show up in other areas of life also?
Yeah, of course. The ultra competitive side showed up, in my teenage years when, and how did I become the poker brat? Well, I was the oldest of 5.
Okay.
My dad prized grades, PhD, JD, MBA. He had all these great letters, and I had letters too, ADHD, ADD. And so, and my 4 younger brothers and sisters were all good at what he wanted them to be good at. And so I was kind of like, I felt like a little bit like the ugly duckling, and so as the oldest, I had to at least win at games. And so, and if I ever lost at a game, let's say that my brother rolled double sixes to beat me at backgammon, I would go crazy, because what else did I have to exist for if I can't at least win the games we were playing? And so that led to, me spending a lot of time, looking into games and game strategy. And that was a natural skill for me that just blossomed when I found poker.
Do you ever wish you could be more chill and not competitive as much as you are? Is there any times you're like, I gotta just relax?
There are times there was a World Series, like maybe in 2008, where I came in really chill and I did really well. But generally speaking, I can use my own shtick to my advantage.
Okay.
Right. And when I'm playing, like when I get mad at somebody, I'm like, like my good friend, Draymond Green loses it on the court. I had a bunch of videos made of us, when he loses on the court, it's kind of like me. We just something's just not right. Like in his case, he didn't deserve that technical. He didn't deserve that foul. In my case, frustration, is kind of manifests itself when, maybe I've been playing with somebody for 5 hours, watching them play poorly and waiting for them to make a mistake. And then all of a sudden, somehow they get lucky against me. And I'm like, this is the worst injustice, and lose it. And then I think, sometimes, getting rid of that frustration in the moment, it's been encouraged, right? Like ESPN loves it. All the networks love it. Everybody wants me to be myself. And so there's times I try to get rid of that, but there's also 90% of the time I'm using that to my advantage. Because when I start losing it, it changes everybody else at the table.
Right.
And if you want to be a master at poker and you can be in everybody else's head all the time, that's massive. Just like I'll show my hole cards more often than any other professional. Why? Because I'm, using it kind of to influence, what other people are thinking, to influence the way other players play against me. So sometimes by giving more information to them, I'm getting, more influence with them.
Is it hard for you to sometimes stay in the game physically and mentally? I mean, I watch these things. These are going on for hours. Like, your stamina is absolutely spectacular, Phil. And are there ever times you just realize like you don't quite have it some days? And how do you prepare yourself physically and mentally ahead of time?
Know thyself, right? Know thyself. So, you're complimenting me on my stamina, but that's my weakness, actually. And so my strength is I seem to have this unbelievable knowledge of poker. I seem to be able to look at people and know whether they're weak or strong, especially when I'm on. My weakness is getting tired. And so when I won this tournament the other day, I then 2 days later made another final table and played just absolutely great to get there. But by day 2, I was tired and I misplayed a hand, and I finished 5th because I misplayed a hand. And, I put myself in position to finish 5th, then got unlucky to finish 5th. But if I don't misplay the hand, I don't put myself in position to finish 5th. And so, and that was just fatigue. And there's just so many times, I think since I won my last bracelet, which was 18 months ago, I've had 3 second place finishes at the World Series of Poker. Everybody's going, oh, that's phenomenal. Wow, 3 seconds. Well, each time I had the chip lead. And one of those times I was really tired and just kind of fell apart. The other time I was super tired, but played pretty good. And then another time I was super tired, and I don't really know what happened. I think I got off my game a little bit. But I think that, fatigue is, I'm 58 now, and it's a massive issue. This tournament I played, it went 3 12-hour days in a row. And so I worked out before. I had some brain fuel, which is this drink that is really incredible. That's taking off around the world right now. It's because it kind of keeps you level and steady. It's a nice caffeine mixture. And so, but 3 12-hour days, by the end of that third 12-hour day, I was just on fumes. And I was trying to get to 2 a.m. where I could say, okay, I'm done. We'll play tomorrow. Right around 1:45, I think I went out. And I just think I could have played better. And so, yeah, unfortunately, we're all given gifts and we're all given weaknesses. And
it's just amazing because after you turn 50, I think your energy starts dropping. So the fact that you're still doing what you're doing and performing at a high level is just absolutely incredible. Some of the poker players you see have strange habits, and you obviously see them all the time, whether it's out of stress, to disguise tells, or they just are a bit weird. What are some of the strangest habits, behavior you've seen? And are there any funny stories you could share, like anyone in particular that's really annoying? And how'd you get the nickname Poker Brat?
There are a lot of weird poker players, right? I mean, just gifted in some ways. And some are, I would say, savants. And sometimes savants can be socially awkward and weird. And we see some of that in poker. And I don't know. I mean, when I talk about stories, I usually end up dropping a lot of names.
That's okay. You have an open forum here. Go ahead. No one.
I keep telling the Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordan stories that I have, and all these other crazy stories, and I think that I usually tell those to illustrate the fact that you have to keep your head down. And I've been thinking about analogies. If your head gets too big, it's hard to be nimble and turn left and right. That's the one I just came up with today. If your head's too big, it's hard to turn left or right. And what happens is people get too egotistical. and then they stopped doing what got them there. And, that's certainly happened to me a bunch of times in my career. I mean, I walk through like in Vegas, it feels like I'm a god. I walk through the hallway and say hello to somebody, and then they're like, "Oh, your biggest fans." Oh, da da da. Or people crying in the gift store because they saw me and said, "We got married here at the Aria just because we wanted to see you." And I'm like, "Whoa." And so, I mean, I think what I like is people have connected and realized that I'm a really good guy, right? Someone's never cheated on his wife in 33 years. Someone who, lives with the utmost, integrity and honor. And I'm a really good guy. So I kind of like that's because when you start off as the poker brat, I assumed that would last a couple of years, and that's authentic too. That's just me losing it in the moment. But I can also laugh at myself. I can also be wrong and admit it, which happens a lot. There's some other superstar poker players.
Don't we all?
They're never wrong.
That's right. Let's switch gears. You wrote a book called Positivity, which is outstanding, by the way. It's all about having positive mindset, positive beliefs, positive habits, and an openness to capitalize on opportunities when they arrive, which you have. I've been really curious. I wanted to ask you this. Have you ever had this approach to your life for your whole adult life, or were there some insight you learned the hard way? Which ones?
My whole adult life. And if you'll give me 5 seconds.
Are you whipping out the book? Here we go. All right.
Yeah, this is on my shelf right now. So this is the book Positivity.
I think you have to send me a signed copy then.
And you're always in the right place at the right time. That's the subtitle. And so, okay. And I've been, since this book came out, I think, you look on the back, Sheryl Sandberg gave me a nice jacket. Tony Robbins gave me a nice jacket. Draymond Green. But, it's just 8 life tips, and you can get it only at Amazon. But I will say this. These philosophies have helped me become the greatest of all time in poker. And yeah, I'm very, very proud of this book. And I started adopting these things very early in my life. Now, the thing I'm most proud about, as far as, my positivity career goes, these 8 life tips, is Tony Robbins tells people to buy my book in his advanced seminars. Now, I mean, and I think that blows my mind, right? Some of the mind-blowing stuff can feed the ego, right? And I'm like, okay, wait, I'm a poker player. I wrote this great book, which is filled with truth, which I thought I'd sell millions of copies of. It's going slowly. I don't really promote it except on podcasts. And then, and then Tony Robbins is telling people to buy my book. Oh man, I'm a cool motherfucker. I'm the coolest. And yeah, your ego can get, a little bit out of control sometimes with things like this. So, again, when you look up to the world and you see all the compliments and all the people that think you're special, you're really screwed. What really is important is keeping your head down and trying to be the best version of yourself, and trying to play the best possible poker in the moment every day. And that's really important. And, I think my ego is pretty under control at this moment, but, my wife of 33 years will let me know.
Of course. It's interesting because if you let your actions speak louder than your words, people will see it and they'll resonate with it. And that's what you do. And I think it's great. One of the things I love is commercial real estate. I've been doing commercial real estate a shy under 30 years. And we own properties all over the country. And I believe you have a real estate company now. What kind of assets are you investing in?
So I decided in the 1990s that real estate was the way to become a millionaire or multimillionaire. And I could see the benefit I understood right away how buying properties, you buy a property, it goes up. Even if you wait 2 years, it might move it up where you can borrow more money and buy another property. Then they both go up, and it just looked to me like a really good way to make a lot of money. In fact, in the 1980s, I kind of understood this concept. And so I started doing my real estate stuff in around 2000. And I got so busy with so many other things that I fell off of it. And, and I've been having a lot of fun now. I've advised 19 companies right now. And I mean, I'm actively advising 11 companies, and we're doing SPACs. I was sponsor money in 3 different SPACs. I brought the first company in to our SPAC. They gave me a little $2 million bonus for that. And now I'm involved with another SPAC. And so for me, the SPACs, which have had a bad reputation, bad reputation, then great reputation, then bad reputation, we're going to do 10 more SPACs, and I'm having fun with that. And so, that's a really good way to make money as well. So the real estate, I'm finally selling my Vegas house, which I bought a long time ago as an investment property. And I sold my Minneapolis house. So I was going down that line of real estate where you are. And I just kind of said, you know what? I'm having more fun personally when I can talk to the young founders and help them with strategy, which is fun, and help them with my connections, which is fun. I mean, TikTok calls me the billionaire wrangler. And so, even with some of these companies that are worth 300-400 million, I can connect them with people that they just can't get to. And so it's been fun for me. Yesterday I've been trying to get an alcohol brand forever. And, but it's just one of 100 projects. You as a real estate guy, you have real estate property all over the country, and you have money in funds, and and you get to the point, Ben, where you have it in so many different places. You couldn't even tell somebody where it all is, right? I can't even tell somebody. Maybe my money is in 40 or 50 different. I would take a day and a half and not come up with all of it, and that's a good thing, I mean, it's one thing I wanted to do: out of sight, out of mind. Put money away in all these different places, kind of squirrel it away. And that's worked well. But the real estate I moved a little bit out of, and but I could see how nice it could be.
So you're involved in several charities, I've noticed. Share more about the organizations you're involved in.
I mean, to me, the thing I'm most proud of is that I host charity poker tournaments. Mm-hmm. So I've raised over $60 million, I think $70 million at events that I've hosted or MC. Some I charge for, and some I do for free. President Clinton, I haven't charged yet. I've hosted a bunch of his events. But generally speaking, I'll charge $25,000, but we'll raise $1 million. And so that kind of feels like the model's flipped on its head. And so some people watching this are like, "Oh, Phil charged $25,000. He's a bad guy." They have no idea that actually the charity world works where they give the charity $25,000, they keep the $1 million. That's the way it's been working forever. Mm-hmm. And so I flipped it on its head. I did an event for Michael Finley in Dallas. Mark Cuban showed up, and he got all of these amazing people, all the San Antonio, the Dallas Mavericks showed up. Nowitzki was there. He even had Timmy, flying from San Antonio.
Wow.
And and all these Dallas Cowboys. And so that event, we only made like 80,000, and I just ripped my check up and said, "Pay me half." But I feel good. And then, I raised a lot of money for the Warriors Foundation. I raised a lot of money. I've done something for my friend JB Pritzker, got involved in Illinois, the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And I've raised
been there
$18 million.
I don't know if you know, I'm from Chicago. I live in California now, but that's born and raised. That's my hometown.
So I became friends with the Chicago billionaires, as I like to call them.
Right.
And I go there and I play high stakes poker with them on a Wednesday night. And, we'll be at one of the mansions in Lake Geneva or whatever. It's really spectacular life I have. And then I'll MC that event. And that means I have the microphone for 7 hours straight where I can make fun of all my billionaire friends. You moved in with what? Or I'll joke around. You got to have some fun. And so I'll be like, "Now your jet is so small it fits into the tail of this other guy's jet." And then just teasing people hard and having fun, and and everybody's smiling and laughing, and it's fun for me. And then I host the Warriors charity poker tournament every year, and that one we did $2.5 million this year for that event.
That's
and
great.
Steph was there till midnight, and Clay stayed till 11, and it was really cool, because the Warriors guys, connect around that event, and they all come in, they have a few drinks. I told Steph that we were going to have a bet because I knew he's going to have some drinks. And I said, at midnight, we'll go over to the Warriors Center, and we'll see if you can hit a 3-pointer 2 feet behind the 3-point line, but cold. no warm up. You can dribble the ball, but you can't put anything near a hoop. And, Chris Mullen thought he was an underdog. A lot of the guys thought he was an underdog. Draymond's like, he's going to make that for sure. And Steph's like, I might have to lay you odds, Phil. And I'm like, Steph, you will be in a poker tournament for 7 hours. You will be having drinks. You will have to go in your street clothes. I don't need odds. And we didn't do it this year, but it would have been so much fun. His wife was there till midnight. I'm like, maybe we'll just do it some other time. But next year, I think we'll probably do that. So, and then, the Warriors players, some play in our poker game, and that's been fun.
I believe also you support several aging players in need. And I'm curious about how big an issue is this in the poker world? Do many older players end up losing their nest egg in what you do?
Yeah, there's something that I haven't talked about in an interview before, but I've been sending $1,500 a month to someone who was widowed in 2008 for all these years, 15 years. Started when he was still alive, and so maybe 16 years, and it just felt good to support him. He was in his late 70s when we lost him, and I'm not going to mention names or cities or anything like that. So that felt good to me. I do stake or take pieces of some players and help them. But I'm also so busy that, right now I am staking 2 players. But I think, when the World Series of Poker comes, I'll probably shift out of that because I need to focus. I'll need all of my poker energy focused on myself. But yeah, I think, Doyle Brunson still plays great poker. He's
how old is
almost 90 years old.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
He made money till he was 85. And so wow. I think it's one of those ones where, I'm very lucky that I think my knowledge is going to stay with me. And I think I'm going to be competitive till I'm 85 or something. Now it might be a little harder
on that long.
Oh yeah. I'm motivated. My lifetime goal is to become the greatest poker player of all time. And then now that I've gotten that from most of the world, I have to keep putting numbers up until no one can deny it. And, that's going to take more work. I'd like to win 24 world championships. I'm at 16.
That's incredible. Your bio says that you have a simple life goal. Like you just said, I want to be the greatest poker player of all time, but one who always puts family first. Is it difficult to be a good father and husband in your line of work because of, whether you're traveling or the long hours of the tournaments? How demanding and disruptive is the poker career to be present and reliable to your family?
It's the travel, right? It's the travel. So I cut every trip short when my kids were young. Every single trip. I'm flying straight home, and sometimes I'd go late that's why I decided, the late 90s that I had to be a businessman because that would keep me at home more. And I just didn't like traveling. So if you take out the World Series of Poker where I'm gone, it used to be a month, but now it's 2 months, right? Now my kids are 32 and 29. It's a lot different, our boys, and they're both coming over in about an hour to this, I'm looking at getting involved with this new wine, which I'd like to call the Phil Hellmuth wine. It's
nice.
It's a Moscato.
Okay.
So the kids are going to come over and try some Moscato. We're going to play a new game. It's a pretty hot game, man. I'm not recalling the name of it, but
I didn't know there was a game. I'm a wino. I collect wine. I didn't know there was a game for wine. I thought it was just like, you hang out, you drink wine, you talk, you have a good conversation. Now there's a game tied to it.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'll even look this up as we're talking.
Okay.
But there's a new game that I was playing with my friends in Hawaii that I love so much, and it's called Chameleon.
Okay.
And so it's one where where like 5 people are informed what the actual topic is, and then the 6th person has to lie. They're the chameleon.
Okay.
And so if you go last and you're the chameleon, you can figure out which of the topics it is, and then kind of like then your answer fits very, very quickly and simply into the narrative. If you're one of the first people to go, you're going to have and then there's a questioning period. But the whatever. I'm not here to promote the game chameleon. I am here to promote family time, and so it's pretty cool for me that my son, one lives a mile north and one lives a mile south, and they'll take my phone calls, and and I think my wife has been fantastic with our children too. They were momless boys till they were like 20. Then they came to me for 4 or 5 years, and maybe they're back with her again. But we're happy as long as they take our phone calls. And I've always believed family first.
Let me ask something. Do they want to like follow your footsteps and say, Dad, can you teach me? Give me the tricks. I want to get into a tournament. Like, does those conversations come about?
They're fantastic poker players, but I think committing to that life is very difficult. And can you imagine my son, Philip Jerome Hellmuth III, playing in a poker tournament? It's Phil Hellmuth. Wait a minute. That's his son.
Across the table from you, giving you the evil eye, saying, Dad, I'm going to kick your ass today.
It's not that. It's, we might have 2,000-3,000 people in a tournament. We might not ever play against each other. It's having that name, right? And then having to live up to that name.
Yes.
And I think it's difficult, for the sons of, of the all-time greats in sports. I think it's difficult. And so, to kind of enter that arena. And so they haven't gone that direction. But they both still win at poker. One of them played in my home game, and I was willing to risk 20,000 on him, and he won small, but he won.
Nice. Well, for my oldest son, that's now a big fan of yours, but he's an outstanding poker player. He plays in tournaments in Las Vegas. I want you to share with him and Joey Reinberg, it's not as easy as it looks. It's very taxing. I'm sure Phil Hellmuth, who's with me right now, could tell you wholeheartedly it's not an easy lifestyle if you want to do it.
His first name is Joey?
Yep.
Joey Reinberg. It's not as easy as it looks, baby.
That's right. That's right. You gotta get deep in the water and keep swimming if you're going to be one of the greats. It's just
people. There's a lot of people that give up. A lot of people give up, and we've had millions of people give up. They want to be pros. They get to a little adversity. They don't manage their money well. A lot of these people will be really good players and could actually be pros, but then so they have that ability. So we call that skill. Mm-hmm. But then we also have this other ability called money management. And if your skill is 80%, your money management 20, you're never going to have money.
Right.
If your skill is 40, is like 60%, we'll go 60%. If your money management is 100%, you'll have a comfortable living. And so, as you scale skill and as you scale money management, we have guys that have 99% skill, and it feels like they have 10% money management. And they're broke all the time. Some of the best players in the world are broke. And so, you really need to have both. So Joey, if you're going to play poker, skill and money management.
Well, thank God he just graduated from the Marshall School of Business at USC. So hopefully he knows money management, especially from his father. Phil, the name of the show is I Own It. It's owning every aspect of your life and being responsible, which you do. You own it. And that's why I wanted you on the show. So we're all works in progress. And can you share a recent example where you realized that you had it wrong and you didn't own it fully?
Yeah, my wife is, we won't talk university names. She hates that, but she's at a prominent university. She's a psychiatrist, so went to medical school, really smart. And she and I were, having a discussion about something just last night that I don't think, and she's like, and she's not cocky at all. This my wife, no, not at all. But, she did say that not many people in the world can have the discussion that we're having. And we were just kind of talking about, I think what we're talking about is something called reptilian responses. So if I attacked her even a little bit, I felt like, oh, you're being defensive. Well, that's kind of a reptilian response, defensiveness, right? And so, as you get smarter and smarter and older and wiser, you have to understand that your partner is going to have some reptilian responses, both me and her, and then how to walk around those. And so I'm a work in progress, and I just keep, because of her, and we've been in couples therapy and we've spent a lot of time working on ourselves. And you just start to realize, okay, there's times I've been married 33 years. And here's one from last night. Honey, I'm not sure you love me, I say to her. And so her typical response is, buddy, come on, I've been with you 33 years. But she's like, I want you to understand, how much I sacrificed during those 2 months where you're playing at the World Series of Poker, where I don't bring up a lot of personal issues and I kind of let you just go. And I do that with love. And I'm like, oh man, wow. Right. And when I put up with the fact that you have ADD and you can, try to pull me into something when in the middle of work, and then maybe she feels a little bit disrespected because I'm trying to pull her in, but maybe her observation is, man, I shouldn't feel disrespected. It's just his ADD. And so you keep figuring stuff out in your relationship, in yourself. I know that I talk too much. I know that my ADD forces me to sometimes not pay close attention as I should pay. And so you keep working on that and working on that and working on that. And, I think if you're a professional poker player and you can lose all your money in one day, you look inward hard. What could cause that? What could set that off? And so I think as human beings, we just keep improving whatever we need to keep improving if we're smart. And now with the internet, people can Google things so quickly that people are just getting better and better when it comes to figuring themselves out. Now, they may be getting worse and worse. Well, maybe 10% on both sides is getting worse and worse, right? Democrats, Republicans, there's a crazy 10% of the Dems, a crazy 10% of the Republicans, but most people in the middle will point to 10% on both sides. It's a little crazy. But when it comes to self-improvement, most of us are getting better, I think.
It sounds like she's a tremendous asset to you because she knows you well enough when to detach you, leave you alone, when to call you on your shit. She seems to have you understood, and that's incredible. God bless her. Kudos to Mrs. Hellmuth because I would imagine that she's your rock where she kind of allows you to have that space to be able to create success in poker and the other line of industries, whether it's writing books or these other businesses you're involved in.
Right. And the new wine yesterday, she came up with the idea of 24 bracelets.
Oh, baby.
24 bracelets wine, which I like.
I'm looking forward to trying it. So,
yeah, it's like Mountain Dew, though. When people are talking about like ice vines, I'm like, dude, It's like Mountain Dew. So
right.
Some people are like, oh, I don't like this. It's too sweet. Well, they pick the grapes after the first freeze.
Right.
It's supposed to be that sweet. And, so yeah, whatever wine I do will be, it looks like it'll be a California Moscato. And I'm having a lot of fun, working on that project for this week.
What is the best way for our audience to engage with you? Is there like a Phil Hellmuth website? Is it Phil Hellmuth Positivity on Instagram? Like, what's the best way for people to stay engaged with you?
Twitter. I kind of will keep my fans updated with my life. I try to be aspirational and inspirational, but I'll also post when, hey, I played bad, and that's life, and I need to get better. And I'll also, it's very authentic and honest. And authentic and honest maybe wasn't as popular in 2009 and 10 when I first started doing Twitter, but now it's real popular. So I think people feel connected to me, Sometimes I forget, I saw a guy, a guy who I really like. His name is Dan. We won't say last names. And he's like, went to lunch and he's like, Phil, I feel so close to you. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in 4 years. He's like, yes, but I've been editing the Phil Hellmuth TV stuff for 4 years. So I see you 10 hours a week. And I was like, whoa, I forget. And I'm like, wow, that was a little mind blowing. I'm wait a minute. That's right. Yeah. He feels super connected to me. And so I think people feel super connected to me and they know that I'm a good guy. They'll just come up to me. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, Phil's an A-lister. Well, okay. Not an A-lister, but I feel like one a lot of times. And so, but people will come up to me. They'll either leave me alone or they'll come up to me and be very friendly, and I'm always very friendly back. And they kind of expect that because they know that I'm a good guy.
So we're going to wrap up with our 3 questions. I've been waiting for you to come on. So in our I Own It studio in Laguna Beach, we have a couch. And I would say, Phil, get on the couch, lay down, close your eyes. You're now 58 years old. A lot of experience, been through a lot. Obviously, one of 5 kids. Great career so far. You have a lot left in the tank. If you can go back when you were 16 years old and give yourself advice with all the knowledge and experience you have, what would be the conversation? What would you tell your 16-year-old self now, knowing what you know, to give advice to help you in the future?
Probably nothing, because anything you tell the 16-year-old is not going to be listened to. But I'll play the game and we'll take it to the next level. Let's suppose that the 16-year-old actually believes that this is the 58-year-old Phil Hellmuth, right? I would say, hey, listen, don't beat yourself up so much. You have ADD, ADHD. Obviously, you're very intelligent. That will come out. Obviously, you have a very high EQ. You understand people. That will come out. And, don't beat yourself up. You're going to struggle. I would say to that guy, hey, when you're 20 years old, you're going to be in the library and you're going to read a dry economic book, and you're going to read the same page 6 times in a row and retain none of it. And, and that's early 20-year-old ADD. On the other hand, when you're 50 years old, you'll be able to read 10 articles in a row and absorb all of it. And so, it's a stage thing, stage by stage, right? And so I probably would talk to myself the most about ADD, and I would definitely say, you want to move into poker. You want to play poker, and don't miss that woman that lives in the hallway.
And by the way, I think the poker thing might work out.
The poker thing is going to work out. You're going to be one of the greatest of all time, and make sure you don't miss that woman in the hallway, because she's going to bring you. She's going to be your rock, and you're going to have 2 great kids, and you're going to have an amazing relationship.
Well said. Well said. So it's our last day on earth, God forbid. And it's just me and you, and it's our last meal. What are we eating and what are we drinking? It's your choice.
Well, I would choose Chateau de Kim, but I would probably drink my own wine. It hasn't come out yet. It'll be 8 months from now, or would probably drink some of that because it tastes very similar to Chateau de Kim. I would probably drink some of that. As far as food goes, it's a good question. There's so much food that I like. I mean, if it's our last, we probably have to order 20 courses, right, Ben? I mean,
absolutely.
This is your last day on Earth. All right, let's get 20 courses.
We're going to town.
Yeah. I know, it's just the 2 of us, and we're like, the last 2 people alive on Earth. We're going to town. I'm gonna have some caviar. Have some caviar with some, some creme fraiche. I'm gonna make sure that we have truffles. I'm gonna make sure that we have some good Italian food, but I'm also gonna have some sushi in there. But I also want some Mediterranean food. Give me some, chicken kebab with some, tzatziki sauce. As far as desserts go, I mean, I could go for some real simple stuff. It could be like, it could be as simple as some strawberry Pop-Tarts. I've been on this diet where I haven't eaten any processed food for 8-9 weeks. So
we just went from caviar to Pop-Tarts. That's how wide we are going. Let me ask you something. We've had a lot of people want me to ask you this question. A lot of people travel to Las Vegas. I do frequently for work and a little bit of fun. And what's your favorite restaurant? Do you have like a favorite restaurant for your palate? Because people always want to know, where does Phil eat?
I will tell you something. Look, the Aria pays me.
Right.
I've been paid by the Aria since it opened, 2009. It's been a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what side of the hat is that on?
Yeah, you were in the hat.
Aria's on there, right?
Oh, look at that. I like it.
I almost always have an Aria shirt on. That's part of my contract. I have a big Aria shirt, but it doesn't really show up in this shot.
Were you wearing an Aria shirt?
I would have it on, but I knew it wouldn't show up in this shot when I do podcasts. But
All
yeah, I wear an Aria shirt all the time in public. That's basically all I wear, and or an Aria on the outside of my jacket. But I would say that Javier's is really good at Aria. Catch is really good.
Yeah.
Din Tai Fung is one of the hottest restaurants in the world.
There's a Din Tai Fung where I live in Orange County. The wait is like 4 hours. It's in South Coast Plaza. I can't get into it. It's crazy.
4-hour wait, and it takes forever for them to actually like. I mean, I've been in the kitchen where they have 20 people rolling. They will make somebody work 8 months before they'll actually let them make food there. And so Din Tai Fung is, and so I'm lucky to have all of those, right there. Carbone was the hottest restaurant in the world in 2018-19. You couldn't get in at the Aria.
Right.
And people still reach out to me, hey, Phil, can you help me get an Aria at Carbone? I'm like, I can help you. I can help get your friends and family rate for a room, but no, Carbone I can't do, and so I'll have to usually say no, but I'm lucky because, in these restaurants, because of the fame since 2007, every restaurant I go to, they basically just let me walk right in, but especially at Aria. And so, I mean, those are all great choices. If you're going to leave the Aria, I forget the name of it. It's too bad. Because I did leave the Aria. I rarely leave the Aria to eat. I did it the other day. I went to a Mediterranean restaurant. Paymans.
Okay.
Paymans. I went to Paymans.
How was that? Was that good?
Really good. And so, those are my recommendations for food.
Okay. So in our studio, Phil, we have a grand piano, electric guitars, and a drum set. If you're in studio with me, and by the way, next time you're in Laguna Beach, feel free. We have an open door policy for you to come in and hang out, and we could do another show. If you could bring in a band that's living or deceased, a band or musician, it's your choice to play us a song. Who would you bring in, and what song would they play us?
Man. Oh, wow. That's tough. I think, can I bring them in from a different era too? Like,
yeah, it's they could be living or deceased. You could pick whoever you want.
Okay. So I would probably, when I really love the Eagles.
Okay.
But I love a lot of modern music too. What I've been listening to is this song, called Fanny.
I don't know that song.
Which is by the Bee Gees. And I listen to that as an anti-ego song.
Okay.
Fanny be tender with my love. And, you know how easy it is to hurt me. And it kind of reminds me that it's not just me, this great Phil Hellmuth floating around, but that I'm connected with this person, my wife. And if she went crazy, she could absolutely destroy me for a month or two. So I kind of, but I would go with the Eagles. Like you look at their 1970-71 concerts from Washington, D.C., and the way they're just shredding the guitar during, Hotel California. I would have to bring them in, but I would bring in that version of them or whatever. The Eagles would be great. There's so many other bands that I love. I really like Jay-Z a lot. He and I have hung out, and I'd love to hear him come in and lay something down for us.
I always thought Prince would be so cool in our studio. I mean, because he could play everything. So I thought we've had like incredible answers to that question from all walks of life, and it keeps getting better, and I love it. Well, Phil Hellmuth, thank you so much for joining us today. What a treat. And I wish you all the best. If you are interested in listening to more episodes of the Ben Reinberg I Own It podcast, kick that right-hand button and click subscribe on YouTube. Also, feel free to click the like button as much as possible so we can share this incredible content and knowledge that Phil Hellmuth just dropped on all of us all over the world. Let it go viral. And feel free to follow me at benreinberg.com. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Learn more about how I can help you in commercial real estate and gain your knowledge to build wealth and create a legacy in your life for your family. Feel free to log on to my company, AllianceCGC.com, and feel free to look at our brand new fund we just launched, the Alliance Medical Property Fund. It is the hottest fund in the United States and even around the world. Phil Hellmuth, thank you so much for joining us. What a pleasure with spending some time with you and seeing you. I wish you all the best in all your upcoming endeavors, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.